and welcome to the channel. Today's video is a vinyl community thread response, possibly competition video. I didn't write a lot down, I just wrote down the channel. So Beer and Vinyl, great name for a channel, who has asked us to think about 1 year in music in isolation. And you could just pick a year you think there were loads of great albums. It could be a year that means something a little bit personal to you. Don't think there's any hard or fast rules. So I've picked the year 1984, and that fits in quite well because in my channel this month we're on a rock stroke metal, hard rock, heavy metal kind of theme, and 1984 was quite a kind of a pivotal year for me in the type of music I listen to, because it's the year I kind of moved from listening to kind of exclusively one kind of genre of music to being like maybe a little bit more a bit broader in my listening habits. So without further ado, let's have a look at some records from 1984. So where was I in 1984? Well, for those that have watched my last video, you'll know I was a big Iron Maiden fan and still am, and this came out in 1984, which possibly had the best cover artwork of 1984. But you're right, I was a dyed-in-the-wool, all things rock and metal kind of boy in 1984. I was the magazine of choice for me was Kerrang. So I used to read Kerrang. I think it was every couple of weeks, wasn't it? It came out. And this is the kind of stuff I was listening to. So albums like Power Slave by Iron Maiden, which is a fabulous album. If you've watched another one of my recent videos, you'll know that my first gig was Whitesnake. So they released this album in 1984. This is Slide It In. This one, as I say, is the kind of sweet point between the UK type of Whitesnake, bluesy rock stuff, to what came later with the hair metal stuff. So this is kind of in between, but a great album. Slightly dodgy lyrics, but we'll forgive him that. You know, it was the 80s. One of my all-time favourites of, well, not just of the 80s, but of any decade, the immortal Ronnie James Dio. His band released their second album in 1984, The Last in Line. This is a fabulous album. So, great artwork. So, all things rock. A new band turned up from America, Bon Jovi, with their first album, and again, on the softer side of rock, but that got a lot of buzz in Kerrang and on the Friday night rock show. Remember Tommy Vance used to listen to that every Friday night with me mates. So yeah, listen to stuff like that. One of the old guard came back in 1984. This was incredibly exciting, but Deep Purple Mark II lineup reformed with Perfect Strangers, and that's again a fabulous album. Kind of meant the end of bands like Rainbow and Gillan and some of the Whitesnake guys jumped ship, but I mean the title track, that's phenomenal. And then one of my other favourites did something that you'll kind of see now is where music maybe was going, but Rush did Grace Under Pressure, and again this is a fabulous album. So the old rock and metal bands were still going in 1984 and still doing some really good albums. But by this time I was getting a little bit older. I was a bit more conscious of what else was around there and what some of my peers were listening to. And I remember very well, there's a couple of albums and bands featured in Kerrang that caused a humongous consternation in the letters page. And you had the more traditional writers and you had some younger writers. And the younger writers were trying to push some stuff that maybe wasn't rock or metal, but certainly featured guitars. And I remember they put this guy on the front cover, and it caused an absolute shit show. The following issue with the letters going, "How on earth could you feature the wonderful Prince?" But again, guitar work par excellence, as they say. This is a fabulous album, isn't it, from start to finish? But when this featured, this kind of Kerrang featuring this kind of music almost made it okay for me to think, oh, actually, I might give that a listen. So Prince kind of entered my radar in 1984, and again, that was somebody who was more popular with my peers than the kind of old rock stuff that I was listening to. Now, the other one that caused a humongous kind of fuss was a band from the Midlands, and I bought this in 1984 based on a single that was on it, which was called The Wild Boys. And this is Duran Duran's live album called Arena. It has got the studio album, The Wild Boys, studio song, The Wild Boys, and all the girls obviously liked Duran Duran when I was a teenager at school. But some of the lads started to like him because actually they're a really good band. And songs like New Religion, The Seventh Stranger, one of my absolute favourites, The Chauffeurs on this one. This is a great live album. So that turned up, and again, by featuring Andy Taylor, and I think the following year they did The Power Station, that caused in the rock community, who are kind of still hanging on for the Iron Maidens and the Motorheads of the world, to cover a band like Duran Duran in Kerrang was, woo, how could you? But the biggest band of 1984, don't let anyone tell you it was the Smiths, because it wasn't. It was Frankie Goes to Hollywood, because in 1984 they were absolutely everywhere. And this is my copy I bought on a school trip to London, and I went in the big massive HMV and came home with Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. To this day, I don't think there's a better side one of an album ever. It's absolutely, the title track, which just fills the whole of side one. It's phenomenal. And prog fans, it's got Steve Howe from Yes on it, but what a production. The singles are on there, but in slightly different versions, and Two Tribes, that's a rock song, isn't it, really? But Trevor Horn's production is genius. And again, so this is something I bought in 84, and again, you can tell my musical taste maybe is shifting a little bit. And then really, from there on in, as we get into 1985, my musical taste, I start going from being a Kerrangy type rock fan to more broader stuff. Still like the rock stuff, but as the years then went on, I became more of a sounds, NME, melody maker kind of guy. And some albums, I've just picked a few out that came out in 84 that kind of pointed the way for me, mainly based on the singles that were coming out at this time. But these guys released some absolutely fabulous singles in 1984. Of course, The Killing Moon, Silver, and Seven Seas, the 3 singles from Ocean Rain. Again, a fabulous album. So this type of stuff started to be on my radar. And a bit more of a synthy one. One of those synth bands that in the early 80s were not taken particularly seriously. By 1984, people were going, hold on, what are this one up to? So Depeche Mode did Master and Servants on this, People are People, Blasphemous Rumours. I mean, what a song that is. So, the year before, I think we had things like Everything Counts as well. So great band, and this is a darker kind of synthy album, isn't it? So that turned up in 84. Did a big video on this up, but The Cure did their concert album in 84. That was another one that I bought at that time, mainly again because it had things like A Forest on there, Shake Dog Shake, great song. But again, in 1984 there hadn't been a best of at that time, so this was as close as it got. But probably a pretty pivotal album in 84 for me, based really on hearing the singles, catching some footage on the tube. But Bono and the Boys, The Unforgettable Fire, and I do remember buying this in 1984, and it was totally different to the type of music I was listening to at that time, and it kind of set me on the scene to go down the more kind of alternative, alt rock, college rock, whatever you want to call it. The following year, bands like the Smiths and R.E.M. started to turn up on my radar. The Cult were another one. But really, I kind of went in 84 from your Iron Maidens to your U2s, and that's really where my musical journey of 1984 kind of started and kind of ended as the year wore on. So good idea to do a video on that, because some years are popular for the music that come out, but for me, I kind of remember what kind of shifted in 1984, and I think my musical kind of listening kind of maybe grew up a little bit, or certainly expanded. So yeah, so hope you enjoyed that. Next video is going to be the AC/DC ranking video, and thank you for watching. Gabaxman Spins. If you have yet to subscribe, please do. If you are already subscribing, thank you very much. And if you, as ever, leave comments in the comment section, I always respond. Tell me what your favourite year of music is, or it doesn't have to necessarily be about the music, but the events behind the music. So hopefully you enjoyed that, short and sweet, and I'll see you on the next one. And I'm doing that thing again that I'm always